Today we are going to discuss about quality and quality control. As all of us are aware that for the last so many decades, there is a very tough competition in the industrial sectors, whether it is a products or it's a services. Industries, they are finding it very difficult to meet the requirement of customers, who's becoming demanding day by day. The profit margins are shrinking, and that has led to the need of control of quality, whether it's concerning the product or it's the services offered by any industries. Now, as you can see in the slide, I brought out the points that it is all dependent on the ability of a company to perform well in all dimensions such as cost, quality, delivery, dependability and the speed, innovation and a flexibility to adopt variation in the demand of the customer. And with that, they have started so many tools which have come into the picture over a period of time, such as total quality management, quality function deployment, Six Sigma, business process reengineering, just in time, benchmarking, and they are most commonly used nowadays world over. Initially, the quality has evolved from mere specifications, controls, only inspections, systems and methods for regulatory compliance to a harmonized relationship with business strategies, which is aimed at satisfying both the internal and external customer. And nowadays, the customer expect today the quality and value are first and above all are given to the customer. That is the basic requirement. And in all successful organization, this quality thing is fully integrated into all of the business processes and is an extension of everything else that has to happen along the path to success, both for the company and for the people involved. And a couple of definitions which have been evolved over a period of time. Now, initially as specified by Joseph Juran, quality is the fitness of use. Means it is the value of the goods and services as perceived by the supplier, means who is supplying the product, the producer, the person who is producing it, who is manufacturing it, and final, the end user, who is the customer. And these measures also pertain to the degree to which products and services, these products and services conform to specifications, specified requirements and standards at an acceptable price. So, the price is again very important. And then again, there were so many other definitions as provided by quality gurus. Like Juran said, quality is fitness for use. Rosby brought out, quality is conformness to the requirements. Deming said, the efficient production of the quality that the market expects. Similarly, Feinbaum, he said, quality is what the customer says. Taguchi, he brought out the concept that quality is loss that a product costs to the society after being shipped to the customer. After the product moves to the customer, then the loss, the product cost to the society, that is the loss. And then ASQC, they have provided another definition, that is the totality of features and characteristics of a product or services that bear on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs of the customers. So, I will read out comprehensive definitions of a quality that says, a quality system is agreed on company-wide and plant-wide operation work structure, documented in effective, integrated, technical and managerial procedures for guiding the coordinated actions of people, the machines or the information of company in the best and most practical ways to assume customer quality satisfaction and economical cost of quality. So, like you can say, in this the customer quality satisfaction is a keyword and economical cost of quality, the quality you are providing but at an economical cost. Now, Garvin has brought out the 8 dimensions of product quality and he has brought out certain dimensions for the service quality also. So, what are the 8 dimensions for the product quality. As you can see, the performance. What does it mean? Will the product do the intended job? Can it perform? Reliability. Second is the reliability, that how often the product fails, whether it's reliable or not, how often it fails. Durability, the duration, the life, how long the product lasts. Serviceability means how easy is to repair the product. Yeah, how easily you can repair the product. Aesthetics, what does the product look like? How does it look like? Features, what does the product do? What are the features of the product? And perceived quality, what is the reputation of a company or its products? Then he gave certain dimension for the service quality. As you can see on the screen, the dimensions are reliability, responsiveness, competence, courtesy, communication, credibility, security. Now, what are the services? The service sector, all of us are aware, pertains to something like insurance, your home deliveries, your online shoppings. So, all of us are aware that all these things, serviceability, like you are running a chain of restaurant and you have a home delivery, something like your McDonald's, Pizza Huts and all that. So, whether that service is reliable or not. If you approach them, whether these people are responsive. And what is the competence level? What sort of a discounts, what sort of a service they are applying? And when you approach them, are these people courteous or not? Are you able to communicate to these people? All these things like insurance, all these services are secured or not? And how credible? That credibility in the mind of customer is very, very critical for the service sector. Now, the three aspects of quality, as you can see on the screen, first is the quality of design, next is the quality of conformance, and that quality of performance. You can see all these things are interrelated. Like quality of design is related to your quality of performance also, and quality of performance again linked to your quality of design. Same way, quality of design and quality of conformance. So this becomes a three important aspects. Now let's see one by one. What does it mean? Like quality of design. What is the consumer's perspective? Consumer means the customer's perspective about the quality of design. Now the customer say it should be designed as per their requirement, what he wants. And he wants that product must be designed in the right form, first time only and every time. And when designing, all aspects of customer expectations must be incorporated into the product. You have designed a product, but it doesn't meet the expectation of a customer. So there is no point having that sort of a design. And while designing the product, what are the things to be considered? The type of product, which type of product you are designing, the cost, what is the profit policy of the company, whether there is a demand in the market or not, and then parts will be available or not. So these are the basic consideration when you design a product. Now let's come into the quality of conformance. There is a manufacturer also who has to build all these products. So what is their concern and what is his perspective? Okay, you have designed a very wonderful product. Whether it is manufactured exactly as designed. So what are the activities which are involved? That means you have to find the defect finding. You have to find the defect prevention activities. You have to carry out analysis and then you have to carry out the rectification. And when a manufacturer starts manufacturing a product, they encounter so many difficulties. So they have to convey to the designer for modification in design in case there is some differences. So you can say there is a two-way communication between designer and a manufacturing, and this helps to improve the quality of the products. And then what is the quality of performance? Now here the customer comes. Here what you say, the product must function as per the expectations of the customer. So there is a two-way communication between designer and customer is a key to have a quality product. And how does it happen? You take a feedback from the customer, whether it is performing well or not. So continuous feedback from the customer also helps the designer to modify the design as per the need, as per the perceived quality, as per the perceived expectation of a customer. So that is again very, very critical. How the quality was evolved, that is again we need to know. I have already brought out that initially when the manufacturing started, the operator's work was inspected, and then the quality control engineer will make a decision whether to accept or reject it. So the focus was just to accept or reject the product based on the specification. There was some specification, excuse me. So there were some specifications. According to those specifications, the product was inspected by the quality control engineer, and there was no effort made for the defect prevention. So it was a very, very elementary way of checking the product quality. You decided some specification, the quality control engineer will come, will say whether it is meeting the specification. If it is not meeting, he'll reject the product. That's it. However, in 1920s, somewhere in 1920s, Sheward, he brought the statistical theory. Somewhere in 1924, he started with the modern concept of a control charts. And what did he do? He used a statistical tool. He devised various control charts. They decided about the specification limits, control limits, and if the product is falling within those limits, they used to accept it. So that was a scientific way of controlling the quality. And the same concept was later developed by Deming and Doge and Romick. They were the quality control gurus which were behind the theory of statistical process control. However, there was still a great reluctance from the industries or manufacturing companies till 1940s to accept this scientific way of quality control. Somewhere in 1950s, the Japanese plants, they started developing the quality management practices. And somewhere in 1960, they brought out the concepts of quality control, and it became a national preoccupation that quality control, Japan will be known for the quality control. Then in 1969, Finbaum, he presented a paper in a conference and officially brought out the term of total quality. And this was referred to basically for the planning, organization and management responsibilities. Later on, Ishikawa, he also presented a paper and he explained how total quality control in Japan was different. It was not a total quality control of a product. He said this was pertaining to the company-wide quality control. And he said how all employees from top management to the workers, they all study and participate in quality control. Until 1970s, this company-wide quality management was common in Japanese company. And the same concept on an enhanced way came into existence in the Western world somewhere in 1980s, and they called this as a, instead of total quality control, they started calling this as a total quality management, TQM. And now, as we move into the 21st century, now it is come into existence as a holistic frameworks, and this is helping the organizations to achieve excellent performance, particularly in customer and business results. So like you can see on the screen how the evolution of quality happens. Like you can see from 1960 to 1970s, the quality control was mainly into existence. From 1970s to 1980s, basically this was a quality assurance. That means quality assurance standard were decided, documentation started, process, programs, all these things were devised. From 1980s to 1990, there was a quality management. You must have heard about ISO specifications, quality assurance standards. Then we have softwares developed for quality assurance. And from 90s onwards, till date, Now there is a continuous improvement. The total quality management came into picture. And now you can see, as you can see on the screen, customer satisfaction was on the top of the list. People have started having strategic planning, long-term planning. So a lot of these concepts came somewhere in 1990s. Until date, it is globally acceptable. Continuous improvement. Now we call it a continuous improvement. So this is how the quality was evolved over a period of time. Let's look into the historical aspects of quality. Like Edward Deming, he was the first one who brought the statistical quality control, like I already brought out, the principles. And he brought out 14 points of quality management. And these principles were adopted by Japanese manufacturers. Then William Crosby, he brought out the aspects of humanistic behavioral aspect of quality improvement. What is the humanistic approach? Since quality is what? When you talk about an organization, it's all humans which are involved in an organization. So their humanistic approach he brought out into this, and it is applicable till date. Then Joseph Juran, he brought out the quality trilogy. And what was the quality trilogy? It was quality planning, quality control, and quality improvement. And when you talk about a planning, it's you set some quality goals, and then you plan for operations based on these goals. And what is the quality control? Quality control is responsible for meeting quality goals. It's a control. When you set some goals, you have to control them. And then you prevent the adverse changes. You set and observe. You measure those performance. And then you compare with the industry standards. And then you set a benchmark. And then there was a quality improvement. When you are done the quality control and when it has gone as per the planning, then you get into the improvement. That means you move to the next level. You have a current level, then you move to the next higher level. And accordingly, what you do? You organize teams, you train the operators who are working on the machines, and then you identify and correct quality problems. Now, what is a quality control? I'll read out from the screen. Quality control, it's an inspection. What is it? It's an inspection, analysis and action applied to a portion of the product in a manufacturing operation to estimate overall quality of the product and determine what, if any, changes must be made to achieve or maintain the required level of quality. Basically, it is a control process. You set a level for a quality. Now, how you see that level is achieved? That is carried out by way of inspection. When you carry out an inspection, you have certain data, you analyze that data. And then you apply to a portion of the product or the entire product. So this is how the quality control can be defined. And then again, this quality control of a product can be viewed as a system. And if it is viewed as a system, what will it ensure? It will ensure the proper planning, right type of design, right type of equipment, proper equipment to be used, proper inspection procedures, and then corrective action based on all the above things. What is the traditional concept? I told you the traditional concept of the quality was what? Detecting poor quality in manufacturing products and then take corrective action to eliminate it. And what is the modern concept? It's a broader scope now, and it involves a robust design and statistical process control. That is the modern concept. And two aspects of quality control. First is the offline quality control. Then we have an online quality control. Offline quality control is what? It involves all the activities that are performed before the actual manufacturing of the product or service rendered. You decided for a product or service. So before actual manufacturing starts, all those activities become part of the quality improvement activities which have been done before the actual manufacturing of product or service is the offline. And online is what? When you have actually started the manufacturing of product till the time it goes to the customer, and also after sales service. So all these are part of online quality control. And what are the quality tools? We'll discuss separately. These are the statistical process control and acceptance sampling. These are the tools for online quality control. Now let's look at the importance of quality control. After discussing the background and everything, it is very, very prominent. Quality is vital in all areas of business for product development and production functions. It is critical not only for the production functions, it is critical for the product development also. Then cost of quality is ultimately reduced by investing money upfront in quality design and development. Now you are not designing a product for the end use, you are designing for the quality design and development. And what are the typical costs of poor quality? It includes downtime. It may be downtime of machine, or you launched a product into the market, it is not available for the end user. Then the cost involved for its repair, for rework, the product has come back to the industry and you have to carry out a rework of the product. And employee turnover. Every time you find there's something wrong with the employee, so every time you change the attrition rate and other things, there's so many things. So these are the indication of poor quality. Benefits are very, very predominant. If you are implemented all these measures for the quality control, then definitely the quality of product improves. You have a higher productivity, overall cost reduction, and then there is a continuous improvement in the quality of the product. You become more competitive over a period of time. Now there are certain costs which are associated with the quality. We'll look at them one by one. Let me summarize. It is a prevention cost, appraisal cost, internal failure cost, and external failure cost. Now let's see what are these costs one by one. What is the prevention cost? As the name suggests, it is the cost which you incur in the process of trying to prevent defects and errors from occurring. Excuse me. Now these costs are before the product is launched into the market. So you are trying to prevent defects in the processes and you are preventing them from occurring. So if we categorize this cost, these are the planning, the quality control process. You have to plan the quality control process. You have to train your operators. You have to educate the staff, inspectors and other people. And then you have to design the product for quality. Then production system itself has to be designed for the quality. And then preventive maintenance of your machines, preventive maintenance in terms of your inspections, the tools. So all those things become the cost which you inculcate or you incur on the product or service before it is actually reaching the customers. And appraisal costs, now you've already started the process. You have the current quality of the product or system. What do? You carry out an inspection and you test them through sampling. So here the cost will come, the cost of measuring and testing parts and materials. Then you apply certain statistical process control. So the cost involved in that is also part of your process. Inspections, reporting on quality. So all these things involve a cost element which is part of the appraisal cost. And what are the internal failure costs? Now you found some defects and errors where during the shipment or delivery to the customer. So what has caused? It has costed something. So what are the costs? Labor and materials that are scrapped. You have to use some labor, use some material that has to scrap. So it costs to the company. Then what do? You have to carry out a reworking. You have to carry out a retest. and there are loss of profits. So all this becomes part of your internal failure cost. Then what are your external failure costs? Your customer has already received this product. So after he receives, there are defects and errors. So what do? You have to carry out a quick response to the complaints. It costs money. You have to give a response to the complaints. Then you carry out adjustment to correct the problem. You will lost a goodwill also. People will have an image in their mind that this product supplied by a particular company is not good. Then you have already offered them warranties. There is the insurance money also. There may be litigations. You may have to recall your products. So all these things become part of your external failure cost. So if you summarize, the cost of quality is equal to your prevention cost. And this is what? This is the cost of conformance, that before launching a product or service, the money which you have spent for prevention of occurring of defects and errors is your prevention cost. So this is the cost of conformance. And these are the costs of non-conformance. You spend some money, now you are not able to conform to that. So that becomes your appraisal cost, internal failure cost, and external failure cost. Now look at the screen and you can visualize then traditional view of quality cost. You see, x-axis, we have the percentage of defects. We start from 0% defect, 100% defects, and here the quality cost. For 0% defects, initially you had spent quite a money, prevention and appraisal costs. Okay, then the cost has started going down. The moment it has started going down, your internal external costs started going up, and this is the total quality cost. So this becomes your minimum optimum acceptable quality level. So this is a traditional view. We'll perform like this, and this is how we achieve. But what is the modern concept? This is your modern contemporary view of quality cost. Like you can see here that prevention and appraisal costs, there's some element, and continuously you keep on spending. This continuous improvement. So this thing has declined a little bit. So if you see, the total quality cost is under control also, and you have a defects which are going down over a period of time. Now if you see pictorially, the normal cost of quality distribution when quality system is not in place, So you see, there is no quality system. So the prevention costs and appraisal costs are less. Prevention costs before launching the product or services, and appraisal costs for checking during the inspections, sampling and other things. So these are less initially, and you spend less on this. So you have a more on internal failure costs and external failure costs. And here, optimum cost of quality division when quality system is in place, like you spend a considerable amount on prevention and appraisals. So you find your external failure cost has gone down, and your even internal failure cost has also gone down. Thank you very much. I finish it off here. Jai Hind.